Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm gonna be giving you part 4 of What If Naruto Fused with a 12-tailed dragon god. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also, guys, remember if you're new, yes, I indeed have 4 more channels. The links will be down in the description for Anime King, Anime King 3, Anime Symbol, and Anime Prince. So go ahead, check them out, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. And don't forget to turn on the bell notification to see exactly when I post, because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado or wasting more time, what do you say we jump right into this brand new episode? Begin now, guys. So, the last part we left off, Sadara told Naruto that her and Menma were now dating. His reaction was nothing at all that she was expecting. Nothing even close come to what she was expecting from him. He was okay about it. Unusually okay. He didn't seem to be bothered in the slightest. He was just like, yeah. That kind of made her angry for reasons that she did not know. Upon returning home, everyone was making this some sort of big deal. And Naruto had no idea why they were acting that way. His sister came to him and asked him if he was okay. He was visibly confused by what she meant, not quite understanding. She was surprised herself. She thought that she told him never mind as she proceeded to leave. Some time passed as Naruto was having some problems with his drawing. Yes, he was having some problems. Something that usually came to him naturally was now coming to him with stagnant results. And he couldn't understand for the love of it why. He tried over and over again. That is when she came, the so-called goddess. She still had not told him her name just yet. She was being cagey with most things. She was also up to something. Yes, she was. And she was not telling him a lot. However, she broke it down for him. The reason why he was having so much problem is because of his feelings for Sadara. Naruto was confused, having no idea what the hell she was talking about. What feelings was she talking about? She made him see it. She made him notice his actions. Naruto got to think about that. He thought about it a lot. He came up with the dumb idea after they graduated that he might as well tell her perhaps that will release his so-called feelings. However, things didn't turn out as he would expect, because that was the night that Sadara and Menma shared their first kiss, and Naruto saw it. Sadara saw him standing there. However, he simply left. Her mind was running a mile a minute. She couldn't stop herself from thinking about him. She didn't know why. She was with his brother, and yet she was here thinking about Naruto. As for Naruto, he was pissed off at himself. Just what in the living hell was he thinking? As he wondered, was he a class A moron or something? Why would he have told her any of that? Naruto let out his frustration in his drawing. His drawing was amazing, but You could see how angry he was from it. Naruto figured that he should just put this all behind him. After all, he has done many things like this before, locking off certain emotions, pretending like certain things did not even come his way. However, given the fact that they live in the same house, he would see her almost every day, so that would be a problem. However, he was an expert at it, cutting off his emotion. She saw him the next morning as Naruto was drinking some coffee. She wanted to speak to him about what happened, but it seems like he did not even see her. She knew that he was just hiding his emotion. Naruto's father had also took him aside as well, as Naruto had lost his cool. Yes, when the testing began, he lost his cool as he hit Mizuki with so much force that he almost shattered the man in pieces. Minato wanted to know what Naruto has been hiding away from him. And it turns out that Naruto has been hiding a lot away from him. Yes, a whole lot. As Minato tests his newly developed speed that he was hiding away, and his strength as well, Minato was baffled by the result. All this time Naruto has been holding back. He's been holding back quite a fair bit. Many at the academy were shocked. The next day when he arrived, they demanded to know, how did he do that? Menma was a bit jealous, however. He tried his best not to show it, as Naruto was proven to be far more stronger than he ever thought. Greatly, far stronger than he thought. However, Naruto was nonchalant about the whole thing. It was no time for them to be assigned to their teams, as the names start to be called. Team 7 consisting of Naruto, Sadara, and Kiba. Team 8 would be Hinata, Mito, and Shino. Team 10 was the Inashikacho. Menma was placed on Team 12 with Sakura and Ame Usuke. So with that, the rest of them said goodbye, as his sister came over and said goodbye to him. Naruto watched. Naruto stepped towards Sadara as he asked her if she had a problem with him, because she was acting strange. She was actually upset that he did not really care about what she told him. He did not care one bit. She knew that she should not be, but she was. Their sensei came an hour later, which was none other than Kakashi. In that hour, Naruto was speaking to the goddess that resided inside of him. Once he was gone, she made her intentions known. She was planning on devouring him whole, but she had to make him trust her first. Yes, because she couldn't just get her freedom without his trust. Kakashi told him about the test tomorrow. Naruto's drawing started to return back to normal because he concealed his emotions away, shutting that part of him off. When they got to the tests, it wasn't hard for them to figure out about the true meaning behind the tests. As they fought together as a group, Kakashi passed them. A month like that went by. They've been doing nothing but D ranks after D ranks after D ranks, and they were pretty upset. Kiba made his voice known in the office. Minato was looking for one of them to step up, as he had something for them. Something small, a normal C rank. So with that, the group meet up at the gate as they met with their client. His name was Kazuna. They were heading towards the Land of Wave for their first outside mission. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the play, check it out for yourself, and also don't forget to go ahead and destroy that red subscribe button and become a part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. So without further ado, what do you say we begin this? Now guys, we begin this episode with Kiba Inuzaka as he gazed up into the sky. Man, it's so hot, he said. The place was scorching as they were currently making their way towards the Land of Wave. Kiba gazed towards the client. You know, this would be a lot better if you could run through the trees like us, ninjas, he said, directing his question towards Kazuna, the client. Well, I'm sorry that I'm not a ninja like you, Kazuna said, emphasizing the word ninja as an insult to Kiba, and he catch on rather quickly as he grit his teeth at the old man despite the fact that he was the one that started it. Kiba then noticed something odd. Even Kakashi was being affected by the heat, however, nowhere close to how he was being affected. Kakashi was an elite after all. He was trained for these things, but they've been walking for some time now. And this would not bother Kakashi like how it was bothering them. However, Kiba could tell that even he could feel the heat. The problem was, hey, how the hell is this not affecting you? Kiba sent this question towards the one at the head of the group, none other than Naruto. Kakashi was relaxing at the back, Sadara was over to the right, Kiba was at the left, and the client was in the center. Naruto did not respond to him. Hey, Kiba said, as Naruto glanced over his shoulder. You talking to me? Yeah, said Kiba. I mean, you're not even sweating. What gives? I'm just not hot. Naruto responded as he turned his gaze back to the front. That's impossible. That makes absolutely no sense, Kiba said. We've been walking for so long now, and you're telling me that you're not hot? Yes, Naruto answered, further irritating Kiba. He didn't like the heat one bit. Akamaru was inside of his coat. Whether in there was much hotter, the dog did not seem to mind that much as they made their way. Soon enough, Naruto, gaze fixated over towards a puddle. A literal puddle. The heat was not affecting him as it was them. However, Naruto could tell that the place was hot. And given the few hours that they've been walking for, there is no humanly possible way that puddle would have remained there. And there had been no rainfall, so something was not right. His brain was really moving now. He spread his senses, and he could feel the anxiety. There were two of them. They were a bit nervous, but they were prepared, as Naruto could feel their emotions. He glanced behind him, not making it noticeable. Kakashi was not paying attention. Sadara was not looking at him. Despite his vested interest for her to turn and look his way, she was not. He turned towards Kiba, who was muttering and looking away. Damn it, Naruto thought. He didn't want to make it obvious. However, he had to wait. They walked by when suddenly Kakashi was grabbed. Kazuna backed away. Kiba quickly pulled out a kunai Akamaru jumping out of his jacket and landing as he started to growl. The two ninjas ripped Kakashi apart. Kiba's eyes went wide. Sadara locked in. She launched a shuriken with top speed, with a kunai closely behind as she pinned the chain into a tree. She then ran and flipped before she slammed her feet right into the brother on the left, knocking him away, forcing the brother on the right to unhook his chain so that he could get freedom. As she knocked him to the side, the other one decided to rush right towards the client. Kiba realized that it was go time. However, Naruto flashed past him. All he saw was the blur. Naruto kunai slammed against the goblet, which had some sharp deadly claws jetting out of it. The demon brother turned his gaze towards Naruto, noticing Naruto's unusual eyes. However, he started to release some of his bloodlust. In that moment, Naruto realized that this was real. Given all the training and everything that he has been through, there was only one time that he has ever faced true danger, and that was when those men came after his siblings. Naruto had no recollection of the last part. Only the Anvu that was there, and Minato knew that Naruto had killed those men because he had blacked out. However, fear, for the first time facing an enemy that wanted to actually kill him, kicked in. Naruto gripped on the kunai slack. The demon brother realized that his strength would now overpower the child as he knocked the kunai away. He then proceeded to slice. Blood splattered as the scene showed that Naruto got slashed right across his arm. He was bleeding. The demon brother was going to end it. His other hand, he was bringing it down. However, that was when Naruto remembered his mother asking him if this is what he wanted to do. If this is a career path that he wanted. He always wanted to be a ninja. He couldn't afford to be slacking now. He had teammates to worry about, and he had to keep himself protected. His small lapse of judgment instantly cleared up, and Naruto realized the situation. Naruto gripped the demon brother's wrists. Miyaisu was rather shocked. He tried to overpower Naruto, but to his shock and misunderstanding the situation, the kid, how was this possible? Snap! Naruto broke his wrists. Naruto clenched his fists with all of his might, which was a bit too much. His eyes pulsating as his hands started to glow with that golden energy. A brutal uppercut smashed into the demon brother's chin. His head was snapped back. Literally, it was blown back and hung. His body jerked and spasmed a few times. His neck had been broken. Blood filled his mouth as he started to choke on his own blood. Naruto watched as the guy stepped back, just a spasm movement before he collapsed, unmoving on the ground. Naruto glanced down towards his hand, in surprise at what he just did, given the fact that he had no recollection that he ever killed someone. But he did. To him, this was his first time killing an opponent. He heard someone calling out to him. As his gaze turned towards Sadara, she had her opponent unconscious, as there was ninja wires wrapping him around a tree. She had used the kunai as it was embedded into the ground behind the tree. He was knocked unconscious. Kiba had stood in front of the client. Naruto felt a hand rest on his shoulder as he instantly knew who it was. Naruto gazed up towards Kakashi. For the moment, it was like the both of them were the only ones there, as Kakashi asks, "Are you alright?" Naruto was quiet, unusually so for a while, as he gazed towards the demon brother. "He's dead," said Naruto. "Yes, he is," said Kakashi, telling him straight. "This is a part of the job. You were taught this in the academy, of what you will be signing up for. But this is your first time taking a life, so I understand. I'm fine," said Naruto. Kakashi blinked as Naruto looked up at him. "He tried to kill you. He tried to kill me and the rest of the members. I did what I had to." "Yes, you did," said Kakashi, surprised how well Naruto was taking this. Usually, people did not take their first kill well. Well, some people. However, he should know that Naruto would have taken it well. Naruto wasn't your ordinary child. Kakashi disposed of the body. Sadara made her way over towards him. "Hey, you okay?" she asked. "Yeah," said Naruto. "You sure?" she said to him. "Positive." He only answered with a one word. As he turned his gaze, Kiba did not know what to say about the scene that was just in front of them. Naruto had broke that guy's neck with one punch. Given what he did to Mizuki on accident, Kiba knew that he shouldn't be surprised, but where the hell did this ridiculous amount of power came from? Back then he was never this powerful. He was always a weak one, but now, it's a good thing that he was no longer a bully. He would be screwed. Kakashi came back to 10 to Naruto's wound. However, they had a problem. The demon brothers' blades were coated in poison. However, before he could even say anything, Steam start to rise up out of Naruto's cut. All the poison start to leak down his hand. And it healed completely fine. Not even a scar. Kiba was confused. He's never seen anything heal that fast before. Before he could voice his complaint though. Tazuna. Gaze was focused on Kakashi because the man was staring right at him. It seems we were misled. Misled? Kiba said. These two are the demon brothers of Kiri. Missing names. One of the reasons why I went away was because I wanted to see who they were after. And it seems they were after you, he said, focusing on Tazuna. And one of the other reasons was to see how good you guys would work together. And I must say I'm proud. You did not argue. You just got straight into it. Kiba, you staying back, despite wanting to engage as well, to protect the client. He gave Kiba a nod, who was proud of himself. And you two quickly engaged in not giving them any time to get close and personal with the client. I'm proud of you too. Both Sadara and Naruto simply nodded. Now, would you mind explaining why these guys were after you? I don't know. Tazuna said, looking away. Kakashi stepped forward. Really now? You don't know? Tazuna was sweating as his gaze was looking around until he looked at Naruto. Naruto kinda freaked him out. It was his unusual eyes. Yes, they freaked Tazuna out. Fine, he said. I lied. You lied? About what? Kiba said. Isn't it obvious? The mission, said Sadara. They all looked towards him. Tazuna had no choice but to spill his guts. He started to beg, plead with them to take the mission, to keep on going. He then decided to guilt them. His poor little grandson would forever hate Konoha. And his poor daughter, Gato man, would probably go after her. And all of those people in the village. He was trying to guilt them into saying yes. Well, this isn't just up to me, said Kakashi, as he turned his gaze towards the kids, wanting to hear what they have to say. Kiba had a smirk on his face. Old man, he said, what's your daughter look like? He had a smirk, pissing Tazuna off. Alright, fine, he said, seeing the look that Tazuna was giving him. What do you think, boy? Akamaru barked. Kiba seemed to understand him. Yep, I think we should go. After all, it would look bad if we just ran away from a mission. And an alpha does not run away from a mission. So yeah, I say we go. Kakashi turned his gaze towards Sadara. She spoke brief and quick. We should go, she said. And she went silent after that. They turned towards the final member, as Naruto was standing there. His gaze turned towards Tazuna. The man started to sweat as he felt unusually nervous just by the child gazing at him. Those eyes really freaked him out a lot. As Naruto stepped towards him, Naruto looked at him for a moment. We should go, he said in a rather calm tone. Well, there you have it, said Kakashi. We'll continue the mission. Tazuna started to praise them and thank them for continuing the mission. With that, they headed off towards the land of Wave. On their way going there, Tazuna was able to tell them more about Gato and what he has done to the village, what kind of man he was. The more they talk, the more Sadara glanced towards Naruto for two reasons. One, she knew that he truly hated bullies, people that bully others because of their strength. She could tell that this was pissing him off. And the second reason, he just killed someone for the first time. So she kept on glancing his way However, to many his face might look calm and bland, but she knew that it was not. They got to one of Tazuna's friends, who took them on a boat. Upon doing so, they made their way. It did not take them too long. The man was telling them about the hardship and how bad things were. Things were really bad, worse than any of them expect, as the guider of the boat let them know how truly horrendous the state had turned, and how much people had been hurt, and what has plagued the land. Tazuna told them about someone that was very close to his family. He was actually his son-in-law. Yes, his son-in-law. Tazuna told them how Gato was not happy with the man standing against him, so he decided to teach him a lesson by hanging him up in the middle of town, his arms removed, bloody and beaten. And then his two guards gave him a public execution in front of everyone. It was a truly baffling news to hear. Throughout all of this, while Kiba and Sadara might have said something, Naruto was silent. He did not say a single word. He was just silent and unusually calm. More so than usual. You could tell that something was deeply wrong. The boatman wished them luck as they got off, praying that they would be the salvation that they have sought for so long. As they headed, the place was filled with mist, so much. They glanced around as Kiba asked, "Is it usual to be this hard to see?" "Well, in the midday like this, yes, but it's a bit thicker than usual today. But you're ninjas, I'm sure you will get used to it fast," he said, with a cheery attitude. After all, he had to keep it, otherwise he might fall in depression, just like many others. So with that, they continued their travels. That is when they heard something. Kiba launched a kunai straight towards the bushes, without hesitation, ready to cut down what was standing there. However, a rabbit jumped out. Sadara glanced towards him. "Nice move," she said. Kakashi, on the other hand, picked up on something strange with that rabbit. That is when Naruto felt it. Excitement, anxiousness. He snapped his gaze to the left. Someone's coming. The moment he said that, Kakashi shouted, "Duck!" as they all dropped to the floor, pulling Tazuna down. A cleaver whipped over their heads and slammed into the tree. Someone appearing on the end of said cleaver. They could already feel the bloodlust radiating from said man as his gaze fixated down towards them. There was a smile under his bandage that was wrapped around his face. Kakashi picked himself up as he spoke. "Zabuza Mamakai," he said. "Kakashi Hatake, no wonder why the demon brothers did not make it back. Given that you're the one that here. You know, you were in the bingo book at my former village. I even thought about the interest of hunting you once or twice. Well, it seems you got your prayers answered, because if you're here for the bridge builder, I'm sorry, but that is not something I can let you have." "Huh, is that so? And here I was, going to be very generous and give you a once-in-a-lifetime chance to survive with your little kids back there. I must say, Konoha, keep on pumping out little naive children is a really bad idea for their status." "Well, that's where you're mistaken," said Kakashi as he grabbed his headband. "These children are one of a kind in their own right. Do not underestimate them," he said, revealing the Sharingan. Sadara looked towards Kakashi. She was not surprised. She's never seen it before because she felt strange accent, but she heard. This was her first time seeing his Sharingan. However, it's not like she didn't see hers every time she wanted to. After all, after that day, where he saved her life, she did awaken hers, and she has been training a lot. As she activated her own Sharingan, there was two totem in each of her eyes. Zabuza smiled down. Well, it seems some of your kids have a little fight in them. And if I'm not mistaken, that's that Uchiha, huh? Kakashi prepared himself. Zabuza smiled. Kakashi quickly shouted at them to get in formation, to surround the client. And they did, in a second. Zabuza laughter rung through the area. Akamaru started to whimper. Despite his protest earlier to stand tall, he was now whimpering. Bloodlust started to reach the area. Sadara's hands started to shake as she was overwhelmed. None of them had experienced bloodlust on this scale before, so yes, it was truly shocking as their body was trembling. The interest just to give up and run away was so strong. However, she kept in mind that she had to stand tall. She couldn't afford to fail right here. She couldn't. Kiba wanted to prove that he was the alpha. His arrogance was actually a good thing in this. Even though they were trembling so much, they could barely hold their kunai. As for Naruto, strangely enough, he was not affected. No, he was not. He had no idea why, despite feeling the raw, chaotic emotion. His body was not trembling, he was calm. Zabuza was speaking throughout the whole of this, how he was going to dissect them into pieces. Before Zabuza even made his presence known, Naruto tracked his feelings and spun. Sadara was confused as she saw Naruto turn towards her. Naruto lashed out his fists. After years of being a ninja, Zabuza instincts were intact as he turned his blade. Bam! Naruto's fist slammed against said blade. Zabuza was baffled as he heard crack. Zabuza jumped away as Kakashi was upon him like a speed demon. The both of them battling it out. Kiba was shocked. How the hell did you know that he was there? Both men were clashing violently on top of the water, using water clones after water clones. Kakashi slipped up though. He got violently kicked. Zabuza already had 3 water clones prepared. The moment he dropped on the water, Zabuza came out of the water and Kakashi buried his kunai into his skull. However, his hand was swallowed by the water when the clone burst. The rest of his body was then swallowed. The real Zabuza finished jutsu as he trapped Kakashi in his water prison. Kakashi cursed with his eyes as his gaze was worried. He looked upon the kids who were still standing there. Their nerves still get the better of them. He shouted at them to run, to get out of here. Zabuza could not leave this spot. The only way was him to release him, and Zabuza would not do that because Kakashi would stop him. Zabuza smirked as he created water clones. Kakashi shouted for them to get out of here. The clones can't go that far away from the original. These were water clones. Kiba was looking at the others, not knowing what to do, not knowing what they should do. The client was scared shitless. He didn't know what to do. Sadara didn't know what to do either. She had to do something though. They had to make a move. She paused. Her gaze turned towards Naruto, so did Kiba. They started to feel the heat. When they looked at him, his hair was shadowing his eyes. Naruto was exhaling, and smoke was coming out of the side of his mouth. Throughout that little bloodlust that Zabuza was throwing around, the goddess that resided inside of him was having a field day as she was laughing, calling Zabuza pathetic and weak. And he tried to prove like he was better. She was pushing Naruto, encouraging him to let loose. Naruto felt the warm sensation spread through him as smoke started to leave his mouth. However, he was still in perfect control. He glanced towards Sadara and then Kiba. Listen up, he said. Even his voice was a bit darker as he spoke. You could see his canines had elongated. Akamaru seemed scared as Naruto's odd-shaped eyes glanced towards the clones as he spoke. Are you two ready? Said Naruto. They both nodded. Kiba quickly prepared himself as Sadara readied herself as she lowered her stance. Naruto shoot off, kicking up a lot of dust as he did, which was a part of their plan. It seems like he wanted to die first, Zabuza said. Naruto ran and leaped. The three clones gripped their blades and swung. However, at the last possible moment, Naruto flew into the sky, surprising them. The wings fluttering, made from elegant chakra from his back. They were shocked, and their shock caused them a massive fireball slam into all three, courtesy of Sadara. Kiba then launched a gigantic Fuma shuriken towards Zabuza. Zabuza looked up though as he saw Naruto diving down towards him. Zabuza readied his blade as he was about to jump over the shuriken which reached him first, and that is what he did. He was about to slice Naruto until he noticed a hand formation. His gaze was met with the Fuma shuriken that Kiba had thrown. Naruto swapped places. He used the substitution. Naruto allowed his wings to push him back at full force. Therefore, his skull slammed into Zabuza's back, causing the man to cry out in pain. Zabuza was sent sailing across the water. When he looked forward to see four mini fireballs racing towards him, he had to move fast as he dodged the first two, twist past the third. However, the last one burned his right arm. Fang over fang, he heard. Both Kiba and Akamaru drilled right into him. Zabuza cried out in pain as he was launched backwards. He underestimated them and now he was paying. Granted, he was still in a fighting state until he heard a roar. A earth-shattering roar that shook the surrounding area. Even Kakashi, who had burst out of the water prison, had to stand his ground. Naruto was levitating over the water, his wings not even flapping. He proceeded to roar. As he did so, a dragon made from flames arced out of his mouth at blinding speed. Zabuza's eyes went wide, knowing if that hit him, he would be done for. But he wasn't an expert ninja for nothing. With impressive strength, he pulled off a quick move. He threw his blade up in the air and then swapped places with it. However, ninja wires were wrapped around his blade, and when he swung, the blade made its way right towards Naruto's face to split his head in half. However, Kakashi appeared and knocked the blade to the side. You all did great, he said. Now it's my turn. Kakashi engaged upon the man. Bloodlusted, his students did him proud a moment ago. It's time he returned the favor. Zabuza did not last for another minute. Kiba, the burn, and the attacks from earlier, Naruto head-butting him in the back, had injured him greatly, much more than he was letting on. He was just used to the pain. However, it caused him to freeze up, and that cost him. He was taken down. That is when Naruto noticed something, and he raised an eyebrow at that. Before Kakashi could deliver the final blow though, a ninja arrived on the scene. A hunter nin. The hunter nin thanked Kakashi for subduing Zabuza long enough for him to deliver the final blow. Kakashi checked the pulse of Zabuza, and there was none there. However, before anything else was said, Kakashi heard something. It was Naruto telling him to move. He jumped out of the way. The hunter nin had no choice but to reveal something that they didn't want to reveal. because they could feel the ferocity of the flames. That would have eviscerated their water attack, so they used their ice. Kakashi felt the cold sensation as a giant ice mirror blocked Naruto's massive fireball. The hunter nin was rather startled when the mirror cracked, but it did held up, but it cracked. That was rather shocking. Grabbing Zabuza, fleeing through another mirror along with his blade. Naruto rushed over along with the others. Kakashi turned his gaze towards Naruto. He was about to say something until his eyes rolled back. Naruto reached forward and caught him as he collapsed. They looked at each other. Time skip. Kakashi was having a wonderful dream. A truly amazing dream. A perverted dream. When he woke up and realized Akamaru was the one licking his face. And that kind of bummed him out. He pulled himself up, but that caused him too much pain. Akamaru started to bark as both Kiba and Sadara came upstairs. Kakashi asked where Naruto was. They told him that Naruto had put himself on, watching the perimeter, and because of his clones, he was the best man for the job. Kakashi knew that Naruto had sensory ability, but he was surprised that Naruto was able to find out the hunter nin was the enemy. A few hours went by. Sadara went outside to find Naruto, and all that she found was his clones. The real one had headed into town. The clones have no idea what he was doing. She left them in their posts. She made her way out there. When she arrived, she saw several people crying, and Naruto was standing there, rather calm, several of them hugging him and shaking his hand. That is when she noticed that one of them was a butcher. Naruto said goodbye to them as he started to make his way. "What are you doing out here?" he said. "I came to look for you." "Why are you here?" she said, looking around. "Oh," said Naruto as he looked over his shoulder. That is when she noticed all the kids standing in front of the butcher shop. "What did you do?" "I figure I could help them. Get something to eat, you know," said Naruto. "From where?" "Remember I can fly, right?" "Oh yeah," she said. "But where did you go?" "There's another island, not too far away. They wouldn't reach it by foot. And given that Gato is running the ocean, they can't go there. So I went there and gathered a few of the eatable animals. As you can see." "You did that? For them?" "Yeah," said Naruto. "There's a whole lot of kids here who are starving. I can't just stand and watch that happen," he said. Sadara had no idea why that affected her so much. "Hey." "Yeah," she said. "Let's head back." "Yeah, that's what I came to tell you anyway. Let's go," she said. As they walked, they spoke about what Kakashi had said. As they returned back, Naruto had think quick on his feet, and that was good. Now they knew that Zabuza was alive, and he also had an accomplice with an unusual Ice Kekigenkai. Kakashi thought that they were all gone, but it seems like Yuki was still alive. Naruto heard his father mention a clan like that before. Wielders of ice release, combining water and wind as well. So they had to train. First thing tomorrow, Kakashi was up in their training. They had to be ready for whatever Zabuza and his accomplice had to throw at them. Later that night, there was a feast happening in the village. As the kids were fully fed for the first time in a long while. It was always scraps here and there. The people were actually believing that they could win this, that there was some hope. A few people that came by, Tsunami didn't have to cook because they brought food. After all, he was gracious enough to bring the meat come to them. So of course they brought a lot of food for the Konoha ninjas. Naruto had gathered a lot of eatable animals. Now they were around the dinner table. Iniri was not pleased. He was not pleased in the slightest. It did not take too long for him to make his voice known, telling them that them coming into the village, raising people hopes, that would just attract more sadness. Gato was going to come and snuff out all of that hope, because there is no hope. There is nothing that they can do. They will all fail, and if they didn't want to die, they should go back to their sweet cozy village, or they will die. Kiba was about to say something, but Naruto looked at him, stopping him from saying whatever he was going to say because he was upset by Iniri's words. Tsunami had told her son to stop as he was grumbling. It's alright, Naruto spoke as they turned their gaze towards him. It's alright to be upset. It's alright to feel frustrated. It's alright to feel angry and feel like there is no hope. Naruto was not looking at him as he spoke. However, his words were getting through to the boy. But life is never easy. Life is just manageable. You want to know something? Naruto did not give him a chance to speak. A long time ago, I wanted to be a ninja, but because of certain unfortunate problems, I could not. So I have to forget about a dream of mine. For years I thought the possibility of me being a ninja was never going to happen until one day things change. The moral of my story is, just keep on going. Things might be bad now, but with help, things can never stay bad for too long. Your grandfather over there and your mom loves you a whole lot, and they're willing to risk everything to make sure that you're safe. Your grandfather is facing this village's most dangerous enemy to ensure that all of you are protected. That is why he hired us. And I can promise you now something that I don't take lightly. Your village will be safe. This Gato individual will no longer be a problem to you and your people, said Naruto as he continued to eat. His words were a bit ominous at the end, and the look in his eyes, he had unusual eyes Iniri noticed. Iniri did not say anything for the rest of the night. The boy's words got him thinking. The young child looking at him. Given the fact that Naruto did not look at him once as he spoke, Iniri felt a bit scared at his words and also enthralled in his words, like he could believe what he was saying. The others simply ate. Time skip. Kakashi was making sure that they were going to be ready. He was testing them. All of them had former training from their families. Unfortunately though, Kiba did not know the tree walking, so Kakashi had to teach him that, while he was moving the others on to elemental manipulation. He decided to test all of their affinities first. When they were each given a special piece of paper made by a special tree, he told them to push their chakra into it. Kiba did so, and it crumbled up and broke away. That's earth, huh? Kiba clenched his fists. I knew it. Strong and hard. Unbreakable, he said with a smirk. Sadara went next, and the paper burned. It also crinkled as well at the other end. Wait, that's two, Kiba said. Yes, as I said earlier, it is possible for someone to have two right away. But it is rare though, he said looking towards her. She had a tiny little smirk. She was proud of herself. The last one was Naruto. The moment his hand made contact with the paper and he started to send chakra to it, the paper did not burn, it exploded. Rather violently as well. Wait, Kiba started to list off the effects, and he was confused. What's that? I don't know, said Kakashi, confusing the others. You don't know? Kiba said. You're the sensei. Yes, and I don't know. We'll get back to that later, Naruto, he said. For now, Kiba, time for you to return back to your tree walking. As for you too, Kakashi had the idea on what Naruto affinity was. It was definitely fire, but his fire was not normal. So yes, he decided to teach the both of them a technique. He put in a little bit of competition to see which one of them would learn it faster. Sadara was already aware of 3 fire style techniques. Kakashi was going to be teaching them a B rank. The both of them had the capacity of chakra to do it. Sadara had quite a large pool of chakra, rather interesting. As for Naruto, his chakra capacity was on a Jinchuriki level. The technique was known as burning ash, where the user would inflame their chakra, converting it into gunpowder, which they would exhale as ash. They would then ignite it, with their opponent right in the center of it. This was a very powerful technique. Well, the more chakra and the more control you had, the more powerful it was going to be. Kakashi realized this group right here had the potential to be great, and he did not want to limit them. All of them were special in their own ways. Sadara made it clear that she was going to be learning this technique first. Naruto was up for the challenge, of course. Naruto turned as he saw the boy Inari hiding behind the tree. Naruto vanished. Inari looked away until he felt a poke on his shoulder as he turned to see Naruto standing there. Time skip. Sadara was lying on the ground. She was exhausted. Yeah, very much. She has been working non-stop. She wanted to learn this in one day if possible, despite how ridiculous that sound. That is when she noticed someone. A person walking up on the field where she was, picking flowers. Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there. What are you doing out here by yourself? The person asks. Sadara looked at them. They seem harmless enough. Training, Sadara said. Oh, I should have taken a better look, given all the burned things around here. You're training with fire, if I'm not mistaken. You know about shinobis? Sadara asks. Well, I have met a few in my travels. Sadara noticed the herbs. She's seen those before. As the woman looked down, oh, these. A friend of mine is badly hurt, so I'm getting him some help with these herbs. As she walked around, where are my manners, by the way? I'm Haku. The both of them shook hands. Sadara, would you mind me asking you something? Go ahead. Why do you fight? What do you mean? Sadara said. I mean, what's the purpose? Why do you fight? My purpose? Well, I have a lot, she said. Most of them not so peaceful. I see. This world that we live in is a harsh one, so I'm not surprised. But tell me, do you have a precious person that you fight for? A precious person that you get strong for? Sadara would have think that Menma would be the one to pop in her mind, but he was not. Naruto was. Haku noticed the look on her face. What's wrong? Given that I'm not going to see you again. After all, once we're done here, we'll be leaving. Can I ask you a question? Sure. Well, Sadara said, under the assumption that this person was a female, am I a bad person if I'm dating someone and yet I'm thinking about someone else? You mean you like this person that you're thinking about? I don't know. I never felt this way before, but when I started to date this person, their image, the other person started to pop into my head every time I think about the one that I'm dating. Oh, I see. Why do you have that look on your face? Well, that usually means that you like the person that you're not dating. If you had these feelings, why didn't you say anything about it before dating this other person? I was put in a spot and I didn't want to hurt him, and it's alright. We're humans. We make mistakes, everyone do. It might be a difficult situation to sort out, but it can be sorted out, and peacefully, if done correctly. Sadara sighed as she looked down. I just don't know what to do. Well, Haku said, placing a hand on her shoulder. Going through life with a regret is never a good thing, she said with a smile. I hope you take care now. I must go. She started to walk away. By the way, I'm a boy. Sadara blinked at that, as Haku walked away with a smile. That was a guy? Sadara thought. However, his words were stuck in her mind though. Going through life with regrets was a horrible thing. He was right about that. She could not talk to anyone else about this, because they would easily figure out who she was talking about. So she couldn't tell anyone at the village. So telling someone random did not seem that bad. However, she didn't want to hurt Menma. Not to mention she might have already hurt Naruto by kissing Menma. She didn't want to stir up any problems. It's better if she just kept the regret, rather than hurting them both. They were brothers after all. She didn't want to be the problem. After all, their mother invited her into her home and made sure that she was okay, and the both of them are good to her. She had to just keep her feelings. She did not want to cause either of them any pain. Time skip. Iniri was more talkative. Tsunami was happy as she saw her son was talking with the Konoha ninja. That boy was truly insightful and mature for his age. He was able to bring her son out of his shell and help him. As she watched her son smiling, something that he has not done in a long time. As for Naruto, Iniri seemed to be glued to him. From that night where he spoke to him, Iniri was interested to know more about him. He didn't know why. It seems Naruto had a way of inspiring people by just speaking to them. Iniri actually felt hope as he saw the people. They were smiling, yes. The people of his village were smiling and happy, believing that there was a chance that he could be free from the menace that was Gato. And it was all because of these Konoha ninjas. So yes, he felt happy about that. A week went by of non-stop training. Every single one of them had came a far long way in their growth, and it has been showing. Kakashi was astonished at Naruto's growing strength. As for Naruto, the so-called goddess decided to pay him another visit. Naruto was pulled into his mindscape. Once again, she made things weird by wrapping her arms around him and resting her head on his shoulder. You know, we can't sit normally. Aw, don't you like this? She said to him with a smile. Naruto simply sat there. What is it? She looked towards him sad. Here I am, thinking that I might as well reveal to you something else that you can do. And you're treating me so badly. Why? She said, rubbing his cheek. Reveal to me. Yes, there's a lot more that you don't know you can do because of me. And why is that exactly? Why are you here? Said Naruto. She wagged her finger. Not just yet. But given that you're fighting more stronger opponents, I figure that I might as well tell you something else that you can do. So, want to learn it? She said, with a smile. As Naruto looked at her. Time skip. One member had to stay behind just in case. Gato sent any of his thugs here. Kakashi was under no assumption that the Genins could handle the thugs. Of course they could. The thugs wouldn't stand a chance against them. As Naruto was outside with Iniri, Iniri's mother was hanging up some clothing as she was smiling, happy how well things had turned out with her son. Not to mention how wonderful these Konoha ninjas had been. And with the help that they were giving her father, the bridge would be soon completed. That is when she saw someone. She ran back to the house. Naruto turned when he saw her, as the two ninjas appeared behind her. They quickly made a move and grabbed her before she could reach. He was about to place his katana at her throat. However, an iron grip locked her on his wrist. What the hell? His partner glanced over towards him. Naruto started to bend his hand until Naruto snapped his wrist. The guy screamed. Iniri came rushing in. "Leave my mom alone," he yelled. That was a really stupid move as the other one swung a blade towards him. Iniri snapped his scream. It all happened so fast. The two bandits were out cold, bleeding from the skull. Iniri opened his eyes in confusion as a clone of Naruto grabbed them. What happened? Naruto knelt down and placed a hand on his head. You just stood up tall for your mom to make sure that she was safe, despite the odds stacked against you. If that's not being a hero, I don't know what being a hero is. Naruto made sure they scanned the area. There was no other thugs coming, and they would be coming from the direction that he would be going at. So he would be able to pulverize them if they cross his path. Stay with your mom and keep her safe. It seems like it's showtime. Naruto wings grew out of his back from chakra. Good luck and be safe, Tsunami told him. Don't worry, I got this, said Naruto. Kick their asses, Iniri said, pumping his fist up in the air. A small tiny smile came on Naruto's face as he took to the sky. Whoa, he's like a bird, Iniri said. As Naruto was blazing through the sky, his body started to be coated in flames. Remembering what the goddess had showed him, as he started to rupture and tear through the sky at tremendous speed. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see next person, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But more for now, see you guys soon. Peace.